ProSeries Tax Software Program Overview. This overview is designed to give you an end-to-end look at ProSeries before you dive into your evaluation. We're going to be covering the following. We'll take a look at how to use the homebase to manage your tax clients. We'll look at the Federal Information Worksheet, how we do forms data entry. We'll enter a W-2 and a 1099, show you how the program has auto calculations, what it means to use the forms in use, and finally, an overview of diagnostics. So when you first open ProSeries on your desktop, this is the first screen that you see. We call this Home Base. Home Base is where you manage all your clients throughout the tax season. And there's a lot of really good functions that clients like at this screen. One of the first is that you can change the data that you see here. I've got a lot of data like the name of the client, their social security number, the status of each return, the due date, the preparer. But you have about 350 fields to choose from to create your own columns for the things you want to see. Now, how do you change this up? Go to the top, click Home Base, and go to the middle where we have column headings. Everything that shows up on the right are the things that I'm currently seeing on my screen. Everything on the left is what's available. So if you wanted to show prior year billing amounts or the amount paid with extension or their AGI or carryovers, just pick what you want and create a more custom screen. The other thing is you can create multiple home-based views. I created one called Accounts Receivable because all I wanted to see in that view was the name of the client, maybe their refund or tax due, prior year billing, current year billing, the cell number, and maybe the taxpayer work phone number. So you can create any number of views that you want using the home-based view in the upper left. Now right now I'm seeing all my 1040 clients because it says 1040 view in the upper left. But I can select any of the business returns by clicking Partnerships S, and then it would display those clients as well. Lastly, we have a section in Homebase View called the eFile Center. So this is where you send, this is where you get acknowledgments back and track all of your e-filing. So when you're ready to send a return, you just highlight the client and click EF Now at the top. The status of that return will change to sent, and then once it's been accepted, it'll change to accepted. So all of that is done right here on the main Homebase screen. So let's take a look at a sample client file and take you through the data entry part of the product. The sample client I'm going to be using today is Kevin and Sally Reeves. I can double click and open it. Now the first screen that you see when you create a new return is this one right here called the Federal Information Worksheet. It's all the basic data we need to start the return. Taxpayer and spouse's name, address, social security number, occupation. There's also a bunch of fields if you want to track their contact information, the address, the filing status, the dependents. So this is kind of the beginning point for creating the return. Now once you've filled out the Federal Information Worksheet, you can see there's a line at the top that says Quick Zoom to 1040. Now I can click that button and it will take me right to the 1040 page 1, and everything I just entered on that previous worksheet is now completed on this 1040. It's already starting to create the return. Now a forms-based input like ProSeries is using the form itself to enter your data. So if I want to enter wages, I would simply go to line 7, click the button, and it would show me the W-2 that I have already called ABC Industries. I'll go in there and I will update the numbers on the W-2. I'll put in $85,000 in wages, $12,000 in federal tax withheld. So I'm done entering the W-2. I want to go back to the 1040. How do I do that? Well, there's a button at the top right of the screen. There's a left arrow and a right arrow. That means back and forward. So if I hit my back button, you can see that I'm back on the 1040 and it shows the $85,000 in wages. If I want to enter interest and dividends, I go to line 8A, I click the button, it links me to the Schedule B. I'll enter my interest here. Now I have another bank to enter, so I'll type in Bank of America. Okay, and I'll put in, let's say, $50 in interest. Now I hit my back button and I'm back on the form 225. So that's really forms input in ProSeries. You start with the Federal Information Worksheet, you link to the 1040 and start linking to the forms and schedules that you need from the actual form itself. Now the nice thing about ProSeries is we are constantly calculating the tax return in the background. You never have to tell the program to calculate because we're doing it every time you make an entry. And if you look at the big blue bar across the top of my screen, way over on the right, it says refund $4,876. This is called the refund monitor. So it tells you what the refund is right now, or if it was a balance due, it would say balance due. Now, if you kind of look over on the left side of the screen, we have a whole nother section over here called Forms in Use. So as you create a form or a schedule or a worksheet, this is a listing of all the things that are currently contained in this client's return. My W-2, my Schedule A, my B, my C. And a lot of the things that you see in this list are automatically created without you really having to do much. So once I enter a Schedule B, I'll automatically below that get an interest and dividends summary that tell me, is it coming from a K1? Has it been entered directly on the B? You'll also see things like a Schedule C 2-year comparison. You'll have asset entry worksheets. So all of the information or everything that you've created is listed over here on the left. So while it's a forms data entry, really once you have this list built out, you'll have it here year over year. So next year when you transfer the data from one year to the next, this list will already be here next year, and you can go through the return by simply clicking Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C, and working yourself right down through the list. Pretty simple. Now below the forms in use list is another way to add forms and schedules without actually accessing the form, right? So if this client does not have a rental property currently in their tax return, I can go to the top, I can click 1040, and I can go to line 17 and add the rental property by clicking the line. But we give you a list of the most common forms that are used in our client's tax returns. So if I click right here, Schedule E, it'll say enter the street address of the property, put it in, hit create, and then I'm on the Schedule E and I've just added it. So it's pretty easy to do. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you too is one of the best parts of ProSeries is the diagnostics system here. One of the best diagnostics that you're going to find because of the ease of use of them. And let me explain. So I'm going to go to the information worksheet over on the left, that first form we were looking at. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to delete Sally's date of birth. And you'll see that when I do that, the field turns red. What's that telling me? What it's telling me is that this field is a critical error. I have to put something on that field or I can't e-file. But why is that important? Because you can look down here, I haven't entered a work or a cell or a home or a fax number. I really don't need to put those things in. They're nice to have, but they won't stop the return from being e-filed, only the things with the red backgrounds. So it's really nice. You can go in and enter all the data and then just find the red fields and you can go ahead and knock out any issues. Now every time you get this red background on a screen, we also show you the error over on the left side. So next to the form that I'm currently sitting on, information worksheet, it tells me I've got one error. So if I'm on, let's say, Schedule A, and I've entered all my data, but I see this error, I can click on it, and it will take me directly to the date of birth field because that's what we need you to put in. I'll put in a date of 1970, and you can see that the error has been removed. Another classic example of this is if I go to something like a Schedule C, and I entered my business income. Let's say I put in $25,000 on the Schedule C. Okay, I'll drop down into the expense section, and let's say I wanted to add car and truck expenses to this return. It's just a matter of going to line 9 and clicking the button, and it says enter the make and model of the first vehicle. Okay, I'll just put in Honda. Now it links me to the car and truck expense worksheet. You can see I've got the description and one red field. The date placed in service must be entered. So I'll put in 19, oh boy, 19, 2017. Okay. Now because I did that, look at what else I need. It tells me all the applicable fields that I need to complete. So I think really what it does is it takes a lot of the guesswork out of what you need to put in, especially if you're new to the product. We're kind of spelling out on the screen exactly the fields that you need to hit to make sure you've done the right thing. So that's a quick overview of ProSeries. Again, just go ahead and start with a federal information worksheet when you add a new return. Link to the 1040 by clicking the quick zoom. You can link through the form to enter the data, or you can use the forms in use list on the left and the common forms list down here. Now, in one of our later videos, I'm going to get into some real specific time-saving tools, but I wanted to keep this short and just give you a quick overview of the dynamics or the layout and design of ProSeries.